Welcome back to another episode here on the Hard and Hustle podcast. Our next guest says kids don't just need treatment plans, they need sanctuaries, safe places where families can finally exhale. So you went from running schools to running a comprehensive healthcare campus, Erin. Let's just start there. How did that shift even happen? Like, how did your time as a special education teacher and assistant superintendent prepare you for this role?
You bet. Well, I always say beautifully. So I encourage educators to consider work in the nonprofit arena because we're well trained for it. So my role as assistant superintendent, I've been in that district 26 years. I would have stayed there until they kicked me out. I absolutely loved the job. So also stayed a place you love, and I loved it. But I've been serving as a board member for KidsTLC for the past 5 years, and really my heart just was so attracted to their mission. And I found myself engaging more and more in that. And as life happens, they had a CEO position open. Not interested at first because I was going to stay in this job again until they rolled me out. But
Yeah.
was driving home one night, and as things happened, I thought, why in the world am I not going to move that way? Why am I not going to go that way? It wasn't necessarily a promotion. I was in a great leadership job, but, literally my heart and my mind just said, you have to do this. So resigned from the board, took a leave from the board, tossed my name into the hat, and then got the job, and then started the slow grieving process of leaving my other job, but still very connected to the school district. Schools are so vital for the mental health of our kids. So it was a really smooth transition, and literally one I never looked back on. Never. I love the district. I love KidsTLC more. It's been an awesome transition, but dealing with people and kids and families, that's what school districts do too. So it's been a nice,
Yeah.
beautiful transition. I hope my board and my staff feel that way too.
I was gonna say, do you feel that it was a hard transition? I mean, you're stepping into the healthcare from education, but in reality, you're still working with kids and families. Like, was it a huge difference? Like, what did you notice that was different, if any?
Well, the you hit it. The healthcare concept, right? So I come from an education, teaching, learning. We did a lot of mental health education strategies, counseling with counselors. So the mental health aspect, easy transition. The medical billing, licensing, credentialing, many of those pieces were new. But I always tell leaders, like, you can learn right along with everybody else, right? You don't have to know everything to lead well. And so I had to embrace that because I like to know everything. Like, I know my personality well enough that, like, I like a nice sense of control, and I like to have some expertise, but I did have to learn to rely on, surrounding myself with other great experts because it was not my vocation and background in education. I feel 8 years later, I can answer most of the things related to insurance and billing and claims. And but the piece that keeps us all there is kids and families, and that part has never changed in my heart, my expertise.
Aaron, when we do things like this and just really on a leap of faith, say, I'm going to go this direction. So many people, there's so much noise sometimes on, are you serious? Like, why are you going to do that? Like, oh my God, you're walking away from this amazing job. You're superintendent. Did you hear all that noise? And if you did, like, how are you blocking that noise out and really, in tune with what the next direction of your life was going to be in?
Now, I love that. I have a super supportive spouse, and so he was just like, go with your heart. You've worked so hard for so long. And if you're getting pulled this way, go, right? And we're going to be fine however this works. I think I was really proactive in the transition, and my message has never changed. I loved where I was. I wasn't leaving because there was any concern. I wasn't burnt out. I just had to go where I was being called to go. And I led with that. That's how I shared the messaging, that I was going to continue to be able to lift both the district and KidsTLC. And I think it kind of quieted the noise. People want to find, what's the real story? What's the gossip? Why is she going? Why in the world would she do this? Is she having a crisis? And I'm like, I'm having the best moment of my life. How lucky am I to even have an opportunity? Did I have some, oh my gosh, what have I done? Because, like, you're out of your comfort zone. You don't know where to hang up your coffee cup or where am I supposed to park? All the things that I've been doing just blindfolded for 26 years. So I had that personally, but I think I got in front of the noise. And I don't know if I was strategic or purposeful, but it was important to me that the district knew how much I loved them. And the school district taught me to be a leader that has made me be successful at KidsTLC. And I have never stopped screaming that from the mountaintop. which I
I
think
I
has
was gonna
helped,
say that.
which has really
Yeah.
helped.
I was gonna say those years being in the school system, that those are just learning lessons to
Oh,
be where you're at today.
yeah,
I feel like life teaches us, and while we don't know, you know, like you mentioned, it wasn't something that you planned for; it just happened,
correct.
because you realized there was another purpose-driven avenue that you really fell in love with. And sometimes we got to look back and say, "Wow, I'm excited that I spent 20-something years here because it allowed me to be on this new journey." We don't
Absolutely.
have to have the same career for life, and so many people get stuck in one career when there's so much opportunities out there to really make impacts. So you made the impact of the school system, you did what you needed to. Now you moved on over to make more impact, and probably at some point merging these two or figuring out, okay, I knew from the outside, because sometimes from the outside we could do more help than we are in the inside.
You bet.
And
You
and
bet.
that's like myself. I'm the president of my old high school's foundation, right?
Oh, I
So
love it.
just this past week, I'm at the Orange. I'm in Orlando, so we have one of the biggest, counties here when it comes to
Sure do.
schools. I'm actually walking in to speak to like their executive director and their philanthropist strategist and all this, and I'm sitting here like, I don't know how I got here, but life got me here,
You bet.
and I just thankful for the opportunity because I just wanted to. It started with wanting to mentor, almost like what you said. I took a seat to first, actually, before even taking on the board. I just wanted to go back to my old high school and mentor. Then people were realizing that I was showing up to school more and as a volunteer. Hey, we need young blood in the organization. So I sat 5 years on this board,
I love
and I hated it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I hated it because leadership just they didn't have all their ducks in a row,
it.
and you
Right,
can see
right.
every meeting it was the same fight, the same arguments, and I'm like, oh my god. I actually left, stopped showing up. They called me back, and I had moved a little further, so I'm like, I don't want to drive 45 minutes to a meeting. So then it just got to the point no one wanted to do it, and they said, "Will you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." I feel like life prepared me for this moment.
Because you
And
put
at the
yourself
time
in
that
a place. You put yourself in a place where opportunities can happen. And I spent a lot of time with mid 20-year-olds at the bulk of our staff at KidsTLC, and they want to just get the things. And I said,
yeah,
well, put yourself in a position to get the things. Like, be a rock
correct.
star in this current job. But guess what? You're putting yourself in the place for the next gig. If you're just phoning in your current work, yeah, you're not putting yourself. So you put yourself in a place by
I did.
volunteering, showing up, engaging to do the other things. And that's, again, I feel like that's leadership. That's how you move along in what you believe in, is putting yourself in places. Sometimes you put yourself in places you're like, yeah, this isn't my gig. And that's
Yeah,
okay, right?
correct.
And usually when it's not your gig, other opportunities don't happen either. Like, people that can tell something's not your gig. But yeah, you've got a great
Well,
story
I'll
there.
tell
They
you,
were like, come on back. That was us, not you. I love that.
yeah. And when I left corporate, this was like I started doing my own stuff, and then this opportunity came at the same time, and I almost like you was like, what am I doing? Like the imposter syndrome starts to really kick in. Like the voices are really loud in your own head. Like, oh my God, do I got this? Like, can I actually take this nonprofit and scale it and help them, regain the momentum? This is a 30-year-old organization that is running like they're brand new. So, I sat here, and even when my board was saying there's no way we can get this done, I had to just put my head down and get it done.
Yep.
And that
Yep.
was really the gala. Like now we're putting this huge gala together. So my whole thing was partnership and relationships.
Yep.
So the secretary retired after 36 years. I'm like, but you have connections. Let's tap into those connections. And walking into this room, if you had seen all the opportunity that just opened up, like, oh my God, we need alumni like you. Oh my God, we can do this, and we can have you on this podcast, and you can talk to this person, the superintendent, the chief of staff. And I'm sitting here like just mind blown. I just came here for some resources. But it goes to show you when you're doing the right thing and when it's so purpose driven, it's not about the money. It's about the relationships and those as many kids as we can really impact. And that was always my thing. I'm a young kid that, well, I guess I'm a little older now. I'm 35. Okay, Erin, am I
You're a
still
young
considered
kid.
young?
No, you're still a young kid. Yeah, you're in that
I my
category. I'm in this one. I'm on the other side of that thing. But that's,
I
I
love
was
it.
going to say, shout out to the leadership with the school and with that district that is open enough to recognize we can do it bigger, better, better with the right people. And that included you, because there's great leaders out there that can run all sorts of organizations that don't stop to say, like, we need fresh blood. We need new thoughts. We need to reconnect back with the people for whom this school made an impact. I love that. And that, I would say, that's good leadership, to say, all right, well,
Correct.
this isn't working. Get him back here. Let's get his ideas. So I love that whole
Yeah,
story
no,
for you.
and it's been a lot of fun.
Oh,
One of the
sure.
biggest things I've noticed though is that on this board is we like to be the voices of our young kids, but no young kids are on our board. So we're now this idea is why do we not have champions of the 12th grade, the 11th grade that are really telling us what are the needs at our schools, right? Like, yeah, we have an A school, but I can imagine there's still more needs. That doesn't mean we're perfect. Resources. Do we need resources in here? I'm a big believer in having discussion and conversations. People's life changes by someone like them, or sounds like them, just being able to share a story. I'm a big storyteller because I believe stories changes lives. We all have a story. I can imagine, Erin, you have a story. So let's kind of go
Sure.
backwards on your story.
Sure.
You're a superintendent. Before that, though, what does life look like before you get to that place?
I had the greatest opportunity really 2 days ago to talk to my own 20-year-old staff about my career journey, kind of leadership journey. I started out as a special education teacher. I had moved from the East Coast to Kansas City, was doing some research. I was going to the University of Kansas. I wanted to get a doctorate. I realized that wasn't that easy. I did ultimately get that done. So I was working and, living check to check, trying to do some research. Finally said, oh my gosh, I'm too poor. Literally, why don't you use your college degree and work? So I applied to the Olathe Public Schools as a special education teacher. As things happen, the most amazing principal was his first year as a principal, my first year as a teacher. We had like a 4-hour interview, which I told him, like, you're lucky I said yes, because that's a ridiculous length. But I got hired. This man became my mentor. I had an incredible experience, and I just fell in love, and I just worked hard. And then I literally got promoted every 2 years within the school district, not out looking for stuff. People found me, tapped me, and just, it's why I always say, like, I'm not just saying this, but be a rock star in your current job and people will notice. If no one notices, you're not in the right place. Yeah, they're not going to notice in 3 months or 6 months. It may be a couple of years. But so I went from a classroom teacher to a special education coordinator. This sounds crazy, right? To the assistant director of special education, the director, executive director of special education. And then here comes, I believe, opportunity. The superintendent at the time, I'd been sitting in on a leadership council with him. And he tapped me. He's like, I'm going to open up an assistant superintendent position, and I'd love you to apply. And I was like, you got to be
Wow.
kidding me. It's just one of those things. I remember, because you mentioned imposter syndrome, after the board announced that I had gotten the position, and then this man became my forever mentor. I mean, just really taught me so much in my time as assistant superintendent. But I remember calling my mother at like at 10 o'clock at night after a board meeting had approved me for the position and said, you're not going to believe it, Mom, blah, blah, blah. And also, oh my God, what if they find out I have no idea what I'm doing? Yeah, and my mother's like, right. But we all have that. And then I just said, like, recognize it, learn, and it's been an incredible experience. So put yourself in the right places, do really good work, have voice, don't be small, but polite, respectful, kind. I took great feedback. I thanked people for helping me. So it was great.
Yeah,
But
you
literally,
value
my
yourself.
only employer. I've had 2 employers. It's weird. 2 employers, the school district and now KidsTLC, and I will retire from KidsTLC and then start volunteering like you, giving back in a volunteer capacity at some point.
Sometimes I even ask myself, like so the story was I left the airline industry as a facilitator, and I
Wow.
loved it. It was probably one of I would put up there with my favorite jobs. And like you, I didn't have too many jobs. I was a general manager for Subway for 8 years, which I loved,
Sure.
but at some point I wanted to do more, and I felt like they didn't see my value. And someone told me, Efrain, you had to wait 25 years. Well, she said, I waited 25 years for my opportunity. You have to wait your time. And I said, "There's no way that you're going to keep me in this little box at Subway, And at 20 something years old, not only was I running a Subway, I opened up my own cafe. And then when it was times got to the point where you had to let one go, I left my cafe because I felt that I loved Subway,
Sure.
but they didn't see that in me.
Yep.
So I left, and I started doing other things. Then when I ended up in the airline industry, it was really a part-time job because I wanted to be able to fly free. So I was working from home, taking phone calls, and pandemic happened. And now the pandemic shifted everything.
Yeah.
Now we let people go, but we needed a lot of people. So we were having classes of 150 people. Like, just imagine a huge call center, like them cubicles. Those were the people where they were sitting. So it was so hard for them to even see an instructor. We had a Britney Spears microphone up front, and we're speaking to just a room full of people.
Crazy.
So they needed people that were on the phones to kind of be like what they called the floor walkers. And I remember them asking me this multiple times, can you do this? And I was like, yeah, I'm comfortable at home. Can you do this? And I asked my leader, and she kind of gave me an answer that I was not okay with. So I said, I'm okay at home. But then my instructor, when I started years back, says, Efrain, we've been trying to get you to come do this. What are you doing? And I'm a big believer that God's not going to give you too many opportunities, right? So I remember telling my wife, because I'm an entrepreneur, hey, babe, I just feel like if I do take on this, there's going to be another opportunity on the other side. And I really love being an entrepreneur. And I did it anyway. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them instruct. I never instructed a day in my life. And I'm looking at the instructor. I'm like, oh my God, she's so boring. She's not really engaging, like walk the room, like easy stuff. And I ask at this point, he becomes a supervisor, hey, how much are you paying these people to do this? And he tells me $60-some thousand. I'm like, I do this in my sleep. So 3 months later, the opportunity
Sign
arises
me
to be an
up. I
instructor.
love that.
Yeah. So I became an instructor, and I'm traveling, going to South Africa, and I loved it. But I gave myself a time frame, Erin. When you value yourself, you have to value yourself
Yep.
in this field. I gave myself 2 years, and I did amazing. And as you mentioned, I did everything. Never called out. I don't call out sick. If I have no voice, I'm still showing I'm gonna figure it out. And that's who I was. But I realized that they just weren't valuing me. And even though I was doing all these things and extending myself, sometimes you have to know your worth. That's the model that I always say. You have to know your worth. And I said, you know what? I have to take a leap of faith. So I've always been half corporate, half entrepreneur. And as soon as I took that leap of faith, and I'm not going to say that it just happened automatically. I took the leap of faith. It took a year for me to really see the seed that I was planting grow, and starting to actually manifest. Oh my God.
Yep.
But towards the end of it, Erin, I always share this story because you mentioned your partner. What we need a great partner in our life. I was towards the end of it where I'm like, babe, money's drying out. I don't have an idea of where I wanted to go work,
Right.
but do you need me to go get a job or something? And her response to me was, God got us this far. We can't quit now.
Right.
And I was like, you're right. And having you met to my mentors, I had a mentor. I don't know if you've seen the show Undercover Boss, but I had the opportunity to be on that show.
Oh, awesome.
And the chief development officer, we're still good friends. And when I kind of wanted to hear someone a little bit more wise, a little older that's been doing this, I asked him, like, hey, man, this is where I'm at in my life. Like, how can I navigate this? And he says, Efrain, man, I've seen you are a rock star, what you mentioned. Efrain, you are a rock star. And I've seen you do this time and time again where you build your brand, rebuild yourself, help others. But one thing I realize about you, Efrain, and people don't realize is that we teach best what we need the most. You're teaching people to know their worth. When do you know your worth and value your time and your talents? And that was that poof moment, right?
I
That
love
I had to stop thinking less. But it was hard because when you come from adoption, you come from no money. And it was hard to put a price tag because I was always given a price tag. But it goes to show the imposter syndrome. You got to clear that noise. That's why I said noise. Clear that noise.
You bet.
Find things
You
that are
bet.
going to me, I love plants. So I was always repotting plants. I was listening to more worship music. I was answering the phones less for people, friends that I was probably speaking to on a weekly, because maybe intentionally, but they were saying things that were just dimming your light a little bit. Like,
Yep.
how is your small, community going? And I'm like, why do you got to call it small? Or how's your small project? And in my mind, it's a big project. So I love that you found your lane because you understood your value and you never allow someone to dim your light.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to someone right now that is in that position that they're probably just like you in the school system wanting to see more, but maybe they're not seeing that light, or they feel like they're stuck in this dark tunnel? Any
Yeah.
advice for them?
And even within my own organization where I'm the leader trying to give everybody opportunities, there's only so many opportunities too, right? So I tell people, I do think it is that self-reflection, either a mentor, a good partner, the good friend, but you do need to be open to the critical feedback about like, what are you doing to get to the next place? But also, if you're doing anything, it's not always the organization's fault. It's just not your time, or they're not looking for that which you offer. And to leave things well and find the next. I have 20-year-old daughters, and I call them 20-something because they're in their mid-20s. But I'm like, if you're doing good work and really happy and you're good with where you are right now, fine. Once you have your plan, share that with your organization and see if they're with you on that, and then stay put and get going. But if at some point that you're neither happy enough or they're not valuing what you do, it's no one's fault except yours for not moving on.
Ooh, I like that.
But that takes
I
time.
like that.
That takes time. But you can also move on really well. I'm worried about the current 20-year-old generation that they end up mad at us if we don't have the opportunity they believe they deserve. Now,
Correct.
believe me, I always reflect on that, because when I lose a good person, I am beside myself. So I'm like, that's on us. How did we lose a good person? What didn't we offer? Why weren't we nimble enough? And every once in a while, we lose a moderately mediocre person. And they're just so beside themselves that we didn't see their value. And I always say, did you reflect on that a little bit? And I said, if it's on me, absolutely, I apologize. But did you reflect enough on the value you were bringing every day? So, yeah, I love that concept. This generation's is going to be amazing once they get over themselves a little bit, and just put in the work. Call off, keep showing up, keep being amazing. And their hearts are big. They want mission and passion. They want to do good work. So that's awesome. Now they just got to remember what work means. And I always tell my girls, it's called work for a reason. It's not called play date. It's called work. Like, go work. Go work and
I've
work really
seen that
hard.
too.
Yes.
I've seen that. I have a friend that he wants to do streaming. So I think he got fired from a job or something. But I said, did you know you were going to get fired? He's like, yeah, kind of. I was like, why did you know? He says, well, I wasn't calling out. I was sick. I wasn't doing this. I'm like, yeah, you were definitely on the chopping block. Like, when people see that, so whatever. He wanted to stream. I said, okay, perfect. Now you have more than enough time to do what it is that you say you wanted to do. There's no excuses.
Yeah.
But then don't put enough effort into that. Like, I think what's happening, we talk about those 20-year-olds, it's their fault, but when we have something like Uber Eats and we have something like ChatGPT or Amazon that is giving you instant, services, that's what they think life looks like. It's very instant, that you go to a job and because you're just that good, then in 30 days you're going to get that promotion. And it's not. It does take time, because sometimes we people got to move on. We got to, we got to have funds to make that new position. And right now is not the time for people to just be shifting, because it is very hard times when we talk about the government level. And I want to kind of go to what you guys are doing at TLC. I think there's some amazing things. What makes Kids TLC integrated campus model different from your traditional fragmented care systems? Like, I know you're building more than just programs, you're building that ecosystem for kids and families, but let's talk a little bit more about that Kids TLC programs you're working on. Model.
So general philosophy for Kids TLC that we built over a number of years. Again, it's been around for 52 years, and it continues to be nimble enough to change as the needs in the community change. So that, I think that really makes it stand out. And what our community in terms of mental and behavioral health is screaming at us for now is we need and I don't want to minimize the seriousness of mental health, but we need a one-stop shop. I need a place where I can call and tell you about what's going on with my family and my kids, and you can meet all sorts of needs in the same place. I don't need 22 appointments. I don't need to start here and then go there. And we've really tried to build, we're not perfect at it yet, but we tried to build, you call in, tell us what's going on, and we've got services for this and that. We're just going to meet you where you are. And you need a little family therapy, your kid is super anxious for school year starting, or you have a kid with some really significant needs in the area of autism. Let's get you started here. And we really want to walk alongside them in this process. It's hard. People don't know what to say. They're like, Erin, I would call, but what do I say when they answer? People are that stressed out about, I don't even know what I'm looking for. And I'm like, you just need to say, hi, I have some concerns, and we'll take it from there. So, really just like grabbing folks and saying, all right, we've got all sorts of things, but we've had to build so that we have all sorts of things. You may start here and find out you need a higher level of care. And then when you're good there, we're going to pop you back down to a low level of care. And then we're going to support you back out in the community. So we've been building, I love ecosystem around mental health, so that we can be, in a community that I'm at least going to call them. They're either going to be a resource, or they're going to get me a service, or they're going to connect me to someone that can help me. But I'm not going to hang up that phone feeling like I didn't get what I was looking for. So it's not easy work. And the amount of crises in our communities right now in mental health, it's so significant. And people are literally paralyzed with what to do. They know it exists now because we've broken through a lot of stigma. People are like, I should go to a therapist, and they have no idea what the next action they should take is. Who do you call? How do you get that? So we're really trying to say, call us. We got you, kind of thing.
Hey, real quick, if you enjoying the podcast, we first want to say thank you. And we also just want to give you a little insight of what we're up to at FRANSiS. Some don't even realize that we're working with organizations to help them use AI to create that real human communication experiences, whether that's actually supporting your families, those patients, or the entire community. We're actually creating tech that connects. Check it out, francis.ai. I was gonna say, yeah, with mental health, it is pandemic changed what that really looked like for us,
Everybody.
right? So many kids are more open about it. I think when we talk about technology, you talked about therapy. I'm also seeing kids at that level use a little chat GPT,
Sure,
trying to get some answers there.
sure.
So when it comes to technology, like, and especially AI, do you guys see this being very helpful in the space that you guys are in?
I think it's going to be incredibly helpful. Thinking through this really the last couple of weeks, we're doing some connections with some AI companies to make sure KidsTLC is not behind, right? Because you can really
Mhm.
quickly get behind with AI. In terms of our world, helping with documentation, giving therapists more times in front of families and kids by reducing their documentation time, AI is going to be our best friend, right?
Mhm.
But then what's the role of AI for kids and families connecting using a chat GPT? And I think it has a place. Does not replace the human connection of therapists because therapy is about human connection, lived experiences of a
Mhm.
therapist they can share with a client, right? Being able to adapt to nonverbals and verbals and the empathy. I have no idea that 10 years from now that isn't something somehow built in. But for now, it doesn't offer that. But reflective journaling, asking questions of chat GPT and having them send like, well, given that issue, have you thought about these three possibilities? I mean, there's this great just conversation. It does not, our bodies, humans are wired to connect with other human beings that are fraught with emotion and lived experiences. Like it is our day to day human desire. Some people, introverts, need less of it. They need a couple good people, a small, tight circle, and that is their connection. Others
Mhm.
need tons of it to just get their juices flowing, right? But everybody needs human connection. And so AI is just never going to be human connection, but does it
Yeah.
offer a lot for kids and families? Offers great accessibility. Yeah, so I think they complement each other beautifully.
And human connections, I want people to know that me and Erin never met each other before today, right? Like, but seeing the smile, seeing the colors that you put on today, like, that's what really started the conversation, right? We were able to kind of look at our screens and realize, oh, cool, like, how's this or how's the weather? And so that interaction, ChatGPT doesn't give you. They can't see you, so they can't give you the compliments. They can, start to have these conversations based off of what they see. Sometimes people say, "Hey, I love the stuff in the background," right?
But
It becomes an open conversation.
it is
So
it is those
sometimes,
nuances of humans that
hmm
just I don't think can be replicated. I'll tell you the face race when we first jumped on the screen. I was like, oh, thank God he's got his glasses on. I go back and forth on wearing my glasses. Sometimes they make me look really smart, but the one thing they do is allow me to see. Like I
yeah, 100%.
you had your glasses on. I'm like, okay, I got my confidence fast. We both got our glasses on. This is okay, right? That's just those small nonverbal connections to people. Um, I don't
That is
think
so funny.
AI
No, that is
can
so
ever
true.
pull that off. But to poo-poo
I
AI would be death for kids TLC. Like we love it, we use it. We want our kids and families using it as long as we're using it for good, and it is a complement to, a supplement to good therapy when you need it. Not everybody needs a therapist. When you do,
correct.
get one quick, because that's what we're really pushing. And get it early in your mental health journey a little bit. So,
So I'll tell you two things.
yeah,
The glasses. I wasn't gonna wear mine today, but funny thing about glasses was I was very insecure about my glasses in high school. So just imagine when we think about our kids, right? We are social media. We're looking at everybody on social media, and we think that we should look like this, or that we should have these glasses, or we should have whatever. So it's just now I'm so confident in my glasses. Like I can care less. As you mentioned, I gotta see. High school, it was a disservice to me to walk around with no glasses when I couldn't see nothing.
right.
Okay, like someone's waving at me. I don't know who it was. I was just waving back
Yep.
because I was very insecure about it. But no, I'm so secure, and I want those young leaders that are watching us is that we do not have to compare to nobody but ourselves. Stop thinking that we have to look like somebody. Show up authentically yourself. And Erin, I would say kudos to you. We've never met each other, and as soon as we got on, you showed up authentically yourself, and I noticed that.
No, thank
You
you.
know, and a
I
lot of
would say the same to you. I would say the absolute same
I
to you.
appreciate it. I think sometimes people forget that part. People do business with people. When we talk about mental health, when we talk our young kids, they don't need someone to come in a suit and tie to talk to them. Just be yourself. They want someone that just is relaxed and they can feel up, approachable, in a sense. And I tell you a story. I was at a school handing out some scholarships, and the principal, his first year there, wearing a nice suit and tie. He looked great. For me, I was wearing a long sleeve shirt that represented the school. I had probably some nice joggers on and a nice pair of shoes. And he looked at me like, hey, I have a polo shirt with the school logo if you want it. And I just laughed and said, you don't like my outfit? And he's like, well, I'm just, and I'm like, I look more approachable than you. People are going to approach me more, and we're both leaders. Why? Because they feel more comfortable with someone that looked like me and realize like he's not putting on a show. Sometimes that actually distracts people, right?
Correct.
Going back to therapy, I went to therapy one time, and I'm such an advocate for it. So I started doing one time telehealth. I hated it. She
Okay.
was horrible. The lady was so bad. It gave me a sour taste about therapy. Then I became a dad. So now like life is happening. I'm realizing like, oh my God, I'm adopted. So just being present and realizing like, oh my, I don't want to repeat the cycle. Like all these things start to just come
Oh,
into
I
my
can
mind.
imagine.
So my wife realized she was going through postpartum, so she was already going to therapy. She had a session that day, and she says, it looks like I broke down crying. And she says, I think you should go instead of me. Right. And I did. And I tell you, that lady was so good. And I realized that I think the stigma is that people think a therapist is going to control the way that you think or tell you to do X, Y, Z. And it was none of that. She literally just asked me questions that I knew the answers to, but sometimes no one asked me in that way, or no one asked me at all. Made me think that way. And sometimes we just got to sit there and let people ask us questions. We have all the answers. And when you start to just say the answers, you start to realize, like, wait a minute, it's a me thing at times, or man, I really got to work on this. Maybe there's some things that I have to actually do to get here, So I am a very big advocate. As you mentioned, you don't need it all the time, but if you feel that you need someone to talk to, those are the best places to go to. Not a family member. And I didn't feel judged. When I say I went in there like a faucet and told her everything and never felt judged,
They
not one
loved
time.
you. I guarantee they loved you for that.
Yeah, she was so good. I've never seen her since, but I say if I got to go back, I got to find her. She was just that good, and I talk about her all the time. But that's therapy for some people. It's like a relationship. Don't think that the first person, because they weren't good, that's everybody.
Correct.
They just weren't for
I
you.
was just going to jump
You
in
know.
and tell you that. I was going to say, so a couple really interesting things about that I think also help define kids TLC a little bit is that um, you're not going to connect with every human. So if you're not connecting with your
Mhm.
therapist for reasons that are no one's fault, and
Yeah.
again, therapists are going to pick up that you're not connecting. Just say, hey, you seem wonderful. I feel like we're not connecting though. Refer me on. And they have an ethical obligation to do it. So again,
Yeah.
set your tone and stand by yourself. But the same thing. So one of our philosophies at KidsTLC, whether we're working with kids or parents, and again, for many of them in the most struggling time in their life, right? That we use this model called PACE, and it's so simple, but we're really playful and friendly and lots of smiles and just bring everybody's temperature down, right?
Mhm.
And we're always accepting whatever you're bringing in the door, just bring it in, bring all the luggage in, roll it in, duffel bag, knapsack, whatever you got. And then we're just going to be super curious, and curious as questions. We just have lots of questions for you that you're going to answer. And your answers, because you're the one that's going to do this or not do this, right? Get better. So it's got to
Yeah.
be what you're learning. So you're learning based on your own, and they're just asking the right questions. They go like, "Oh, I heard in your voice like that angered you. Like, why do you think that is, or what about it specific?" And then you just go, "I don't." Oh, and it's amazing. And then we're empathic to whatever your response is, because your response is the correct response, right? And
Yeah.
that's just the
I
model
love
we
that.
use every time I talk to a kid. Every time I talk to a mom who is losing her mind because she can't figure a kid out, and lots of empathy. And I said, look, hey, I raise girls. I get it, right? Brings the temperature down, and then I'm accepting. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, been there. Let's talk about you. Tell me what's going on. Tell me why that impacts you that way. And it's just so easy to do. And the model works almost every time. The other thing I wanted to add to you, and I love because you and your wife both did it. If you have said in your head, I wonder if I should see a therapist. The answer is
You should.
always right. The answer is always say it's to that. Again, I say the same thing about people that are like, I wonder if I drink too much. I go, well, you might want to see someone about it. Like if you're saying, so it's one to think it, it's another thing to verbalize it. Once you've verbalized it, it is front of brain, right?
Yep.
Which means signal, green flag, go get some help now, right? So again, when you said, I want you to know, your wife's like, I think you need to see somebody, like bingo, go. And you might one really, like I call them booster sessions, just boost me back up, put me back on the road.
It was.
Yes,
It was
and I
definitely.
love it. And therapists love it. They don't need to see you forever. Yeah, they're going to see you on average 4 to 6 times total. It's not a year commitment typically. It's not years. And people said, I've been in therapy for years. That's become part of their journey, but that's not the typical experience.
And everyone has a different experience. My best friend, I told her, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. And she had a kind of experience of she wanted to see someone in person. And when she seen them in person, she was actually more comfortable seeing them now virtual. Like she's like, oh, I don't have to see you in person, right? So a lot of times, is like we mentioned, finding your need. Because now with telehealth, that I've also heard young kids that be more open when they're in their room around their own things. They feel more comfortable. You see a different side of them versus when they're in person.
Yep.
So it's again back to that dating. Find something that's most comfortable to you, and you'll start to realize you'll open up more. And if you're virtual today, you'll say, you know what, I want to meet this person in person. They're so good.
Love it.
Not everyone is
Love it.
great virtually.
Right.
It's hard to be good virtual, but so many people are really good in person because
Our
they
adolescents are
riff off energy.
fantastic. Our adolescents are fantastic virtually. They're safe place. Me and my phone on my bed. So if
Yeah.
I feel safe in that, there's a little security behind a screen. So you don't
Yep.
have to totally reveal yourself to be ready. And so a lot of adolescents, it's efficient from a mental health professional standpoint. Therapists love virtual because somebody can go like, oh my God, I'm running late. I'm going to pull over at the parking lot at the 7-Eleven and I'm going to jump on my therapy session on my phone. Right.
Yeah.
So we get better consistency, better sustainability. People are safer behind their phone. My age, we want to see people. I want to look you in the eye. I want to see if you're a good person. It's generational. But again, whatever you need, just go get it. And we do a lot
Yeah.
of start in person and then telehealth, or people are like, I have no chance of coming in. Just pop me on the screen. And we're like, we got you. We got all of that. We do as much telehealth as we do in person. There is a current, this is so interesting, kind of current wave back to in person. So we're kind of post-COVID, post online everything, that people they're feeling that desire to connect in person again. So again, I love the trend, but we have more requests now from kids and families to show up at our offices. And we're
So I ask you, we're saying all these good things about it, but there's still some barriers. What are some of the biggest barriers that are still holding our families back from seeking the help?
But insurance is a huge issue. So, again, we talked a little bit about government and national crises and all that stuff going on right now. Insurances do not offer the same coverage for mental health as they do physical health. So often there's a family commitment to paying. There are a lot of folks that are uninsured, right? That they barely cover. They got their car insurance that's collision only. They kind of a similar mental and health insurance that's not covering those kind of things. And more companies like ours that say, doesn't matter, we'll figure out the money. Like we'll find scholarship, we'll find ways to do that. And I think just knowing where the access is, finance, transportation, the ability to come to an appointment if it's an in-person only kind of piece. And then there are some cultural stigmas that are still out there. There are some cultural entities for admitting I need help, going to get help, telling my family stories to a stranger. And then we also need more diversity in our therapists, right? You mentioned you go to schools, kids see you and go, oh my God, he kind of reminds me of me, and he kind of dresses like a cool kid, right? But we need more therapists that when we connect on screen, we go like, oh, you might have a lived experience that's similar to mine. And we don't have that. So all those have become barriers. I think the nation's working hard to overcome them. We just need to kind of scream that out to people and say, like, it's not that hard anymore. But we're going to have to, people are worried we're enabling people with their mental health. Like, why do you make it so easy? And I'm like, because it's so hard. And we can go back to say, you're in charge yourself. If you need help, you should get it. Right now, I'm going to like literally walk you through this process.
Yeah.
And so that pendulum's going to keep swinging. We are making great steps. We are not there yet. But I
No,
have
I
great
love it.
hope.
Yeah, because
I have great hope.
kind of what you said is that, and I was probably that grew up like that where we didn't talk about what was happening at home, right? I was already adopted and being sexual abuse, so there was just so many things I was not talking about. You don't know how many times DCF showed up at my house because my brother was, talking at school and saying whatever. My mom would say, "If you guys say anything, just remember you guys go back into the system." Right? So now there's this sense of fear in that as well. Like, wait, I don't want to lose this family. Like, I already don't have my other family. So there's so many different things that people hear that kind of allows them to sweep these things under the rug, but not realizing it's hurting us. And I tell you what, the reason that I knew something was wrong wasn't because it just popped up. It was when I was getting mad. I was just started dating my now wife. That when things weren't kind of going my way, I became this different person. And she was the one that told me, when you get mad, I don't even know who you are. You look like a monster. And Erin, I didn't want to be
But
portrayed as that. That's not who I was, right? And as I continued to just speak about what was really going on and all these things that I swept under the rug for so long, I'm realizing, like, wait a minute, this is not normal, right? And I tell you, my wife is so good. I remember her telling me this. She says, Efrain, even if we don't work out, I want to help you overcome whatever it is that you're going through. Like, I had to marry her, huh, Erin? When she
okay,
said that,
you
that's
had no choice.
that's my
You
material.
had no choice at that point. Like, and this would be a forever gig. Absolutely. But it's the truth. I mean, trauma has an incredible way of, it sends a message of hide me, hide my trauma.
Mhm.
Because one, lots of folks that have been through trauma, sounds like you develop resiliency like nobody's business. You're going to survive.
Mhm.
You've made that decision a long time ago. I'm a survivor. I'm going to do well. And part of your surviving is like pushing that trauma back, right? But then at some point, and
Mhm.
that probably served you really well for a long time. It's not bad that you didn't address it. It served you well. And then at a point, it stopped serving you well. And your then
Yeah.
future wife said, hey, friend, this is not serving you or us well, right? And then you
Yep.
go,
Right.
oh, now I've got to reframe that pushing the trauma away is now in the way. But for a while, it
Correct.
served you well. So I always tell people there's no shame in it. And that's probably our biggest barrier still is people that are shamed by experiences that they had no control over, accept their
Yeah.
decision to hide them. And we're
Yeah.
like, it served
No,
you well. It served you well.
I was
Own
ashamed.
that
I
and now go forward.
I was ashamed, as you mentioned. I felt people would judge me,
Sure.
right? Like I was going to be judged. But for people to know, I didn't seek therapy until I was 30 years old. So it took some time for me to even say, you know what, I'm going to go do this. And realizing that I was still growing and that I was still, at my 30s, I also realized my voice mattered. I'm 30 years old. I started to really gain that confidence who I was in the way that I was showing up. I realized I am one of a kind, and I didn't see that till my early 30s.
There's nothing.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
for those that are
That's
watching,
it.
it's never too late.
Right. I love that message. Yep. Love it.
You know, this is such a good conversation. I'm loving this. I want to talk about the nonprofit level because you did make a change from the for-profit world, and then you end up in the nonprofit. And I think there's so many people that really don't see what's happening in the nonprofit. Like they have all these myths. So nonprofit careers get dismissed too easily, but you're proving they can actually be sustainable. What
Yeah.
myths about nonprofit careers do you actually want to bust for those that may have this idea of a nonprofit?
Oh, yeah. Especially current generation we keep talking about. You actually can make a great living working for a nonprofit. This kind of old concept that you're literally volunteering your time and you're going to be paid nothing. And I always said you can actually have mission and make money. You can feel like you're giving back and have purpose in your service and have a sustainable salary and take care of your family. Both are possible now. And I'm working with a think tank in Kansas City right now of about 25 kind of large or impactful nonprofits. And we're going to do a whole kind of PR campaign that says like demything the nonprofit world. And a lot of it is there is career growth. There's probably better opportunity in some of these. And every day you feel your impact, right? And again,
Mhm.
not everyone can say that. We get a lot of kind of second career people, and that's fantastic. I love their maturity, right? So I did this career in corporate, kind of your story. Now I'm ready. I want more impact, more mission, but I'm so worried about losing my salary. I'm like, come to us. You're not going to lose your salary. And you're going to have better boundaries, and we're just fun people to work with. So all those kind of pieces, but nonprofit's going to make a comeback. There are so many great nonprofits. It just means the company's not going to sit on a big bank account of cash, but we're still paying good salaries. Just at the end of the day, we're going to break even. We didn't make money. We didn't
Correct.
lose money, right? We're not always in debt.
I love
We're
that.
really sustainable over time. Yeah, again, but a lot of people, I literally have people when I tell them what my job is that don't know me, they're like, so you volunteer? I'm like, no CEO volunteers, really? And I said, no, I will though one day, but right now I have a family to take care of and a child to get through med school. And yeah, like I'm a normal person that is making really competitive dollars for the skill I bring to the organization. People just think that if you work for a nonprofit, you're like a volunteer, and good for you.
Yeah.
That's so great. But so we really have to demyth. It is a great opportunity for veterans. It is a great idea for someone that's at a place that's like, hey, the corporate world has run me out. What I also tell people is it's not like the easy road either. Still really good hard
Mhm.
work. You still got to be the rock star, right? You're still showing up.
Mhm.
It's nothing to take lightly. But people are very successful in many roles in nonprofit, and we've just stopped and telling people about it. We need to be at college career fairs and high school
I
career
agree.
fairs. We need to tell people like, let me tell you what I make. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I'm not ruling the world, and I'm not getting superintendent salary, but I'm doing fantastically, and I work my tail off for it. But every day, like I cannot wait to get on campus and do the work, and
And
not everybody
two things I would add on to
has.
that is that you did start as a volunteer and you were able to realize, oh wait, there's more here, right? So a
Absolutely.
lot of times we start off as volunteers. I think what's great about being a volunteer or even being a nonprofit is that when you go to a corporate gig, they hire you for this and this is what you're going to do. For a nonprofit, they want all your talent. What do you do? Perfect. Let's add that into it. Like they're never going to hold you back from the things that you truly love. And I love that about the nonprofit. But is start to volunteer, find one that resonates with you, and realizing even if the pay, as you mentioned, is not superintendent pay, the reward you receive when you're seeing kids really change your lives fills your cup more than money ever will.
You bet. And the
Right? Allows
combinations,
you to realize,
you can have both. Like my cup is filled and I have can sustain a lifestyle that I deserve based on
yeah,
education and background and skill set and all those kind of pieces. Our chief development officer, been in that role 2 years, told a story the other day that she started out as a volunteer 16 years ago at KidsTLC. And this is like someone your age. Okay.
wow,
But she just wanted to. And she was at a golf tournament volunteering. And the chief development officer at that time walked up to her and said, if you ever want to get out of real estate, because I think it was like 2008 and the market was falling out,
crashed.
I'll hire you tomorrow. And she took the leap and she worked her way up. And 2 years ago, we made her chief development officer and she's killing it, killing it. Uh,
I love
yeah,
it.
but
I
she
love
started out
it.
as a volunteer. So your story you're telling, it's funny when you said I was a volunteer. I was a volunteer board member. I kind of forget about that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
So you
that's how you
started.
start out. And then, yeah, you decide if it's your gig or not. But it is not low paying anymore. It is competitive based on where you live and the work they do. And you're not selling anything but good service and taking care of
Correct.
families that need to thrive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So everyone think
What's
about nonprofit. Love it.
as we're wrapping up, what is your message to a family listening right now who feels that there is no hope left?
Yeah. There is always hope. And there is hope. And we just need a little bit of effort from you to do a reach out. That could be to school. That could be to church. That could be to, look in the phone book, look in Google, find mental health, make a couple phone calls. Certainly if you're in the Kansas City area, call Kids TLC because we'll just take it from there once you get a hold of us. But take some action, big or small. Let someone know you're struggling, and then and a trusted person that's a safe person, and ask them to help you do the next step. It's one thing to tell someone you're struggling, then ask, can you help me take the next step?
Mhm.
Schools are fantastic points of contact, and as are
Yeah.
churches. So reach out to somebody and not only tell them your story or that you need help, but ask them, I truly need your help to make the next step. So it's out there and there is
I love
great
that.
hope. And again, clinical therapy has incredible outcomes. It really does work for kids and for families, that you'll get to a place where you're thriving again.
Good stuff here, Erin. Before we get you into the hot seat and get you the blind question, where can people connect with you? Are you on LinkedIn? And what is the social medias for Kids TLC so people can actually go follow the website or go to the
Yeah. So
social medias?
the best place to start, easiest place is literally our website, kidstlc.org. And then all our social media connections there, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, we're there. Whatever your social media gig is, join us. Lots of inspiring stories, lots of easy ways to reach out to us. Lots of ways if you want to donate or be a volunteer. Like we've got all that on our website. So we always say easiest way, kidstlc.org,
Mhm.
and then all the connections are there for sure.
I love it. Are you ready for this blind question?
I think I'm ready for the blind cuss
This
question.
one was tailored just for you. If you can go back and sit in one of your old classrooms and really whisper one lesson from Kids TLC to that younger teacher version of you, what would you tell her?
John, what would I tell a teacher?
You're that young teacher, and
What would I
now
go
there's a
back and
lesson in
tell
Kids TLC that you
myself
learned.
as a young
Hmm.
teacher? Connect. Connect with these kids and these parents in a way, and I'm going to use your word early, authentically. I was trying so hard to be a good teacher and teach content when I first started. And I realized not too long into it, but I wish I'd known that right away. Like, connect with these kids at their level and these families. Get to know them, let them know you, be more vulnerable and authentic. So I love that question. I love that.
I love your answer. I love your answer. Connect that 100%. And what is your blind question to the next leader we have here on the Heart and Hustle?
I want you to ask the next leader what brought them joy today. Because if we're
Good one.
not stopping and remembering, I was going to do peace, what brought you peace? And I could use that interchangeably because sometimes it speaks
Okay.
like when it brings me peace, I'm joyful. But I was thinking like we all need to ask us that question before we go to bed ourselves. What brought me joy today? It could be little, it could be huge, or it could be why was today not joyful? And how am I going to make
Yeah.
tomorrow joyful? So I hope it goes well.
I love it.
Question.
Erin, it's been a pleasure to be able
Absolutely.
to talk to you for almost an hour today.
Loved it.
Like,
Loved it. Let's stay in touch.
who knew?
New.
Who knew?
It's the glasses, dude.
Um,
It's the glasses. But
it's a
we'd
classes
love to
thing.
stay in touch. And again, yeah, this is my favorite conversation ever.
Oh, stop it. Well, guys, this is another great episode here with Miss Erin. If you guys are not following, make sure you guys connect with them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, as she mentioned, your needs of social are. And go to kidstlc.org. Check out what they're actually doing. If you're in the Kansas area, just a call away. We thank you for being who you are, authentically who you are, and just making a transition to a place where definitely needs people like you in that space. So
Good.
my name is Efrain. This is Erin, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Laters.